Hello everybody, welcome to the FTC Club. Welcome, hopefully you have an interest in this, whether it is designing, building, or programming. Hopefully there is something here for you. Just to let you know, my name is Mr. Hernandez. I'm sure you all are aware. I've been working with FTC for the last 7 years, ever since I've been at ONW, and so this is something that we've wanted to do and try to offer to people outside of the classroom, just because we know sometimes a lot of people's schedules don't really work, so this is a great opportunity for you, and with COVID, why not now? So me personally, the thing that I do the most is I am a coach, sponsor, teacher, mentor, whatever you want to call it. Ultimately, I help kind of guide and help people along the way. So that way, every single year, as we have new people that are doing FTC, we don't make the same type of mistakes every single year, every time through. Provide some words of wisdom, give some tips and tricks and things that will help you out along the way. This does not necessarily mean that I am the expert in CAD or any of those other things. I really am here to help guide. I am more of a facilitator than a teacher in a lot of ways. So if you come to me looking for the absolute answers, that's one of the beautiful things about FTC is the fact that nobody really has the perfect absolute answer. That's engineering in a nutshell. So with that, I encourage you to continue pursuing FTC and all that it entails. Let me know if you have any questions, and I know that the FTC Capstone will be willing to answer any questions you might have as well. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Bailey. I'm the project manager for Capstone this year. As PM, I have lots of responsibilities in order to ensure the team runs smoothly. I manage the business and finance sides of the team, oversee the media and outreach subteams, enforce team deadlines, collect documentation, compile the engineering notebook and portfolio, update the team website, and act as a primary point of contact for external stakeholders like the PRT robotics team, engineers who act as mentors for our team, and other robotics teams we can work and run practice matches with. PMs need to be organized and efficient. They set the tone for the team's productivity.
Hi, I'm Blake. As lead engineer for Team 10173, I oversee the sub-teams and their respective members who work on maintaining, constructing, and improving their robotics and mechanical projects. My primary duties thus entail focus on the equipment, technology, and the infrastructure that make up the team system. Lead engineers need to be able to lead those members in construction and task management through the meeting, planning, and any processes which are needed to accomplish the goals set for the robotics team. The lead engineer must also communicate with those both inside and outside of the direct sub-teams and give updates on the robot to those who are not present during the events.
I'm Casey and I'm on the design sub-team. Our responsibilities include designing prototypes and final designs in Fusion 360, redesigning based on prototype testing, developing design ideas based on our game strategy, and communicating designs to other sub-teams. Fulfilling these responsibilities allows the build team to refer to a 3D model and the programming team to develop the programs that are needed for the mechanisms to function without the actual physical prototype. The design team must work quickly and efficiently to give the build and programming teams time to test the prototypes and programs.
I'm Cece and I am on the design sub-team. On the design team, our responsibilities include researching and designing prototypes in Fusion 360. The tasks are split up between the designers, but it is important to collaborate with one another so the various designs will work fluidly together once built. We communicate with the other sub-teams during the design process to improve the design. During the building and testing phase of the prototypes, we redesign as necessary until we have a final design.
I'm Nathan. And I'm Joseph, and we make up the programming sub-team of Team 10173 Robotics Gemini.
As programmers, we do exactly what the name implies. We program the robot. There are two basic categories for the things we program. The first is anything that moves. That could be a drivetrain, a flywheel, some sort of lift apparatus, or just any other mechanism that the build subteam can make for us. The second category is anything that inputs data. That could be sensors on the robot, encoders on the motors, or just the remotes that the drivers use.
As programmers, it's also our job to write algorithms or sets of instructions which interpret and act on this data. For example, having the robot stop when a white line is detected, or using a gyro sensor to detect when the robot is straying off course.
Despite the fact programming might sound rather separate from the other robotic subteams, it's not. Everything you're able to achieve with your code is directly tied to what the design team is able to design and what the build team is able to build.
As such, you need to have really good communication with the other subteams so that they know exactly what you need as programmers and you know exactly what they need. That way you're not making any unreasonable or impossible requests.
We're going to wrap up with some general advice. Remember, the first solution you come up with isn't the best. It's often when you're trying to write a program, it's easy to get lost in the weeds and lose sight of the big picture.
Additionally, listen to other people's advice and ideas, because often a second or even third set of eyes may see a solution to a problem that you may have overlooked. And remember, fear the null pointer exception.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm on the build subteam.
Hi, I'm Justin, and I'm also on the build subteam. So, for build, you have to be able to work well with design, because if they make any changes to the robot, you also have to be able to make those changes like to the actual physical robot. And then communication is also very important in FTC, especially this year with all the work we've been doing outside of school. We've had to do pretty much everything that we've accomplished this year outside of school. Getting your ideas across and being able to see other people's perspectives is a very great skill to have for this position, because you're not always going to have you're not going to always have the best robot on your first try, so you have to be able to be willing to make those changes.
At the beginning of this year, our season was mostly prototyping and building mechanisms since we were online. But after we started prototyping, we worked on the stability and the efficiency of our robot, like finding new ways to attach mechanisms. Build team has to be responsible for continually improving our robot throughout the season. So if you're going to be on build team next year, you got to make sure you got to be ready to make changes a lot. That's it.
Roy,
And I'm Zach.
and we're part of the build team. The building of the robot is a never-ending engineering design process. It starts with getting the first design and building that, but the first design barely even works at all. So it has to be changed just to get the first prototype. The first prototype needs to be tested and find the spots that need the most improvements. This opens the door to creative brainstorming that is needed to get the best final product.
We also work with different subteams every single day. For example, when a programmer asks us to attach a sensor for one of their programs, we have to find a way to make it compatible with our bot. Also, Troy and I are on the drive team, which means I control the main movement of the bot moving around the field, and Troy controls the main mechanisms such as our intake, our shooter, and our wobble alarm. This also opens more doors for working with other subteams like programming, because they map out our preferences for our driver settings.
Hi, I'm Maddie. I'm the outreach coordinator. As the outreach coordinator, I work to set up events for the team to do in the community to teach others about FTC. We mentor a team at a PRT and go to elementary schools to work with the younger students. Throughout the process, I talk with all the other sub-teams to make sure all the activities we have planned have a team member to run them. I communicate with all the external contacts to set up dates and times for our events.
Hello, my name is Trevor. As the sole member of media team, my primary responsibility is to provide insight as to what we work on together as an FTC team. The great thing is, how you go about accomplishing this goal is left entirely up to you. In my instance, I decided that in addition to posting pictures of our latest accomplishments on Twitter, I would also explore the podcast scene, where I could talk with my team more in depth about the goings-on in engineering. Speaking of the team, as media, I connect with all members to get pictures, discuss the latest news with, and find out what they're doing. And finally, this helps to aid the cohesion of the team, as some of the podcast episodes I've worked on have touched on team relationships in one way or another.